where every word opens a new world. Welcome to the portal of stories.
There are places that do not appear on any map, lands where time does not pass, but dreams. In the heart of Scotland, beyond the paths that men dare to draw, there exists an ancient forest, as old as the stars themselves. Its trees whisper secrets to those who know how to listen, and the wind carries in its arms the memories of forgotten worlds. At its center grows a millenary oak tree. It is no ordinary tree. It is the heart, the soul of the forest, the guardian of the balance between all living things. But even the strongest hearts can weaken. And when its heartbeat began to fade, the forest ceased to sing. This is the story of Ewan, the last druid, and the beings who walked by his side, not warriors, nor sages, nor heroes, but friends. Together, they embarked on a journey beyond the visible world, in search of a hope that can only be reached through respect, unity, and love for that which cannot be possessed. Because in nature, nothing is saved through force, only through listening.
The first light of dawn barely touched the treetops when Ewan awoke. The mist still covered the forest like a mantle of sighs. He rose to his feet, adjusting his dark green cloak, woven with enchanted threads. His ashwood staff, carved with ancient runes, rested by his side. The silence was absolute. Not a silence of calm, a silence of absence. Ewan knelt beside a nearby spring, plunged his hand into the damp grass, and closed his eyes. He waited. He waited for the whisper of the roots, the breath of the moss, the dreams of the stones. But he heard nothing. Slowly, he opened his eyes. A withered leaf floated on the water. It came from the sacred oak. "Why are you silent, old friend?" he murmured, his voice trembling. He stood up, gripping his staff. He knew where he had to go. The heart of the forest was changing. The invisible guardians, the stones with open eyes, the trees that sang, seemed dormant, indifferent. Ewan reached the sacred clearing. There, the ancient oak, the heart of the forest, stood in painful stillness. Its leaves, once golden like moonlight, now hung dull and dry. The roots cracked beneath the parched earth. From the sky descended a black-winged crow, as dark as the abyss. It perched on a broken branch and stared at him. "The heart is dying," croaked the crow, its rasping voice thundering in the still air. Ewan bowed his head. "Bran," he recognized. "Old friend, tell me there is still hope." The crow tilted its head. "Not if you keep waiting. Darkness advances from the north. Forgetfulness has taken root in the hearts of men, and the forest is forgetting how to live." "What can I do?" Bran dropped a feather that spun down at Ewan's feet. "Seek the elixir of life, the last breath of the eternal waters." Ewan frowned. That's just a legend, a fireside story." Bran gave a dry, hollow laugh. "And yet, here we are. You must find it, beyond the singing mountains, in the cave where the jade dragon sleeps." The druid sighed. "Alone?" "No," replied the crow, its eyes gleaming like embers. "The forest still has allies." A wind creaked through the trees. From the shadows of the forest emerged 5 figures. A golden-eyed owl, descending in silent flight. A majestic white stag, whose antlers seemed to catch the light of dawn. A swift, cunning red fox. A small but swift-footed hare. And a robin singing a hopeful melody. Ewan smiled, warmth blooming in his heart. "Will you come with me?" he asked, already knowing the answer. The stag stepped forward. "The forest beats within our hearts," he said with a deep voice. "If it falls, we fall as well." The owl spread its wings. "We fear no shadows. We remember the light." The fox gave a playful leap. And besides, who could resist a good adventure? The hare hopped nervously forward. And if we need to run, I'm the best at that." The robin fluttered above Ewan's head, releasing a bright trill. "Then, my friends," said the druid, his heart kindling with determination, "we set out at dawn." That night, gathered around a small fire, Ewan explained the dangerous journey that lay ahead. "First," he said, "we must reach the stone circle of Tharnam. Only there will we find what we need to open the hidden paths. After that, we will cross the mist of the banshees. Then we will find the entrance to the Fey realm, where a price must be paid." The fox clicked his tongue. "A price? What kind of price?" Ewan shook his head. "In the Fey realm, not everything you give can be taken back." The hare shivered. "I don't like the sound of that." The stag stared toward the horizon. "Even so, we have no choice." The owl bowed his head, wise and calm. "The only door is forward." Ewan looked at each of his companions and smiled. "I cannot promise we will return, but I promise we will try." The robin let out a brief, firm whistle, as if to say, "Enough talk, let's begin." And for a moment, in the ancient forest, the wind whispered as it once did in times long past. The first stretch of the journey was gentle. The forest seemed to guide them. Roots shifted aside, branches formed natural bridges, ferns parted to reveal hidden paths. The fox trotted ahead, sniffing every current of air. The owl flew slow circles above them, vigilant. The stag marched with steady, royal steps. The hare leaped lightly, and the robin perched now and then on Ewan's staff, singing bursts of encouragement. "Do you think the whole path will be this easy?" the fox asked, a sly smile on his face. "Danger never announces itself with trumpets," replied the owl. Ewan nodded, never stopping. "The real trials are yet to come." They reached the stone circle of Tharnan under a brooding sky. The stones, upright and weathered, stood like forgotten elders, cloaked in silver lichens. Ewan stepped into the center and raised his staff. "By ancient right, by the blood of the earth, reveal your gifts." The ground trembled softly. From the shadows emerged 3 treasures: the midnight flower, whose blue petals shimmered like fallen stars; the stone of memory, pulsing with living energy; the bowl of time, polished silver, empty and waiting. Ewan gathered the objects with reverence. "We'll need them to cross the veils between worlds," he explained, "and to defend ourselves against what does not breathe," added the owl. As they left the circle, a dense mist began to fall. But it was no ordinary mist. It was the mist of the banshees. First came a whisper, soft as the brush of a wing. "Ewan." Then a wail, a cry so cold it froze the blood. "Druid, come back." The hare stopped, trembling. "Who's calling me?" she murmured, frightened. "Don't listen," shouted the owl. "They are empty voices." But the voices grew louder, sharper with pain. The fox bared his teeth. The stag lowered his head, struggling against the sorrow. Ewan acted quickly. He drew the bowl of time, filled it with spring water, and murmured, "Show me the heart of the forest." A vision rose in the water's surface. The sacred oak, blooming again under a brilliant moon. "Remember," cried Ewan, "this is why we walk." The robin trilled loudly, slicing through the mist with his song. The fog tore apart, revealing the forest whole and unbroken. "Everyone all right?" Ewan asked, turning to his friends. "All right," said the stag, panting. "A bit scared," admitted the fox, "but all right." The hare said nothing. She simply curled up close to Ewan, still trembling. Beyond the mist, the forest changed. The leaves shimmered like living stars. The trees bent into impossible shapes. The ground itself seemed to breathe. Ewan stopped. "We have reached the veiled forest," he said quietly. "Entrance to the Fey realm," whispered the owl. "Are we sure about this?" asked the fox, glancing nervously at the moving trees. "Do we have another choice?" Ewan answered, giving a weary half-smile. Before them, between two intertwined oaks, a liquid curtain of light formed. A rift. A threshold. One by one, the companions crossed. The other side was no forest. It was a dream. The sky was lavender. Rivers flowed upward into the heavens. Fire butterflies danced among crystal trees. And at the center, seated upon a throne of floating roots, awaited a figure. A woman with silver skin, hair like threads of light, and eyes without pupils. "Welcome, seekers," sang her voice. "You have crossed the mist. You have rejected the voices. Perhaps you are worthy of what you seek." Ewing stepped forward, bowing low. "We come to request the map to the Dragon's Mountain." The woman smiled. "Nothing is free in our realm, Druid. If you desire the map, you must give something that cannot be returned." The companions exchanged tense glances. "What sort of offering?" asked the fox, his fur bristling. "A memory," whispered the woman. "A fear. A dream. A piece of your soul." Silence. The hare, trembling, stepped forward. I will give my fear," she said. Ewan tried to stop her. "It's too much," he whispered. But the hare smiled sweetly. "We crossed the mist, didn't we? I cannot keep trembling forever." The Fey woman touched her forehead. A thread of white light floated from her. The hare blinked, and her eyes changed, no longer trembling, but neither did they sparkle as before. "The map is carved into the roots of the singing tree," said the woman. "Seek it out, and remember, what is given here is never returned." The companions retreated in silence. Ewan looked back one last time. The woman offered him a sad smile. "Go, Druid, and remember, some changes cannot be undone." They emerged from the Fey realm beneath a gray sky, and far ahead, etched against the clouds, loomed the Mountain of the Dragon. Their true journey had only just begun. The path to the mountain was not easy. The forest that surrounded it was different. Older, quieter, as if breathing to a slower, deeper rhythm. The fox walked silently, ears low. The stag moved tensely, eyes locked on the distant peak. The owl flew higher than usual, wary. The robin sang only in soft, brief notes. And the hare no longer trembled, but something in her steps felt hollow, too light, almost untouchable. Ewan led the way, his staff steady in his hand. "We're close," he said. "I can feel it." The mountain loomed ahead like a sleeping giant, its summit lost among thick clouds. At the foot of the mountain, a freezing wind descended from the heights, carrying a whisper not born of the natural world. From the ground, like smoke, figures began to rise. A Vorun, living shadows, echoes of fear and forgetfulness. "Prepare yourselves," shouted Ewan, planting his staff into the soil. A Vorin surged toward them like a black wave. The owl swooped down, wings slicing through the dark mist. The fox spun, invoking fire from the dry leaves. The robin sang a piercing melody that made the very ground tremble. The stag charged into the shadows with antlers of blazing light. The hare leapt among them without fear, like a flash of untouchable lightning. Ewan lifted the bowl of time and let a drop of his blood fall into it. The water blazed with light. He thrust the bowl toward the Vorin and cried, "Return to the void that birthed you." A wave of emerald light burst forth, engulfing the creatures. Most dissolved into mist, but one figure, more solid than the others, lingered at the edge of the protective circle. It had a human shape, but its face was a hollow mask. The shadow spoke. "Do not fight what must be. The oak must die, and you must learn to let go." Ewan felt a chill stab his chest. "The forest still beats," he declared. "And while it beats, we will fight." The shadow smiled faintly, and dissolved into smoke. The immediate danger passed, but the seed of doubt remained. The climb was brutal. No marked trails, only sharp rocks, treacherous ice, and winds that seemed intent on tearing the soul from their bodies. The stag slipped several times, but remained steadfast. The fox, more agile, hopped deftly from stone to stone. The owl flew low, shielding the group with his watchful gaze. The hare led the ascent with fearless speed. "I'm not sure I like this new hare," muttered the fox half-jokingly. At least before, she knew when to be scared. The hare smiled faintly, but said nothing. Ewan climbed behind them, his heart heavy with concern. Had they lost something more precious than they realized in the Fey realm? At last, they reached a frozen waterfall, falling in absolute silence. Behind it, a warm light pulsed. Ewan touched the ice with his staff, and a crack opened. They stepped through the frozen curtain. Inside, the cavern was vast, dark, alive, and there, curled like a river of scales, lay the jade and gold dragon sleeping. Its slow breathing made the very walls of the mountain vibrate. Ewan advanced alone, his companions waiting behind. As he took his third step, the dragon's eyes opened. They were golden, immense, older than the first spark of the world. "Who dares disturb my slumber?" asked a voice that resonated not from its mouth, but inside their minds. Ewan knelt. "Guardian of the ancestral flame, I come in the name of the forest. The sacred oak is dying. Without it, the world's magic will fade." The dragon blinked slowly. "And why save it?" it asked. "Is not change the oldest law?" Ewan swallowed. "We do not come to resist change. We come to restore balance." The dragon extended its wings, filling the cavern with radiant light. "Are you willing to lose everything to save what may be destined to fade?" The fox stepped forward, proud. "There is no glory in giving up without trying." The owl spoke. "It's not about glory. It's about memory. Pa." The stag bowed low. "About respect." And the hare, for the first time in a long while, spoke with a steady voice. "About love." The dragon studied them in a long silence. Finally, from its chest, a small vial of starlit crystal emerged. Inside, a single drop of living fire pulsed like a heartbeat. "This is the elixir of life," said the dragon. "It does not cure. It does not command. It offers." "And if the oak chooses death?" Ewan asked. "Then you must honor its choice," answered the dragon. Ewan took the vial into his hands. Its warmth was comforting and terrifying. "Thank you," he whispered. The dragon closed its eyes once more. "Go, and remember, life is not possessed. It is shared or it is lost." When they exited the cavern, soft snow began to fall. Each flake shone for an instant before touching the earth. The mountain no longer roared. It only whispered. And in Ewan's chest, beside his beating heart, the elixir of life pulsed, waiting to decide the forest's fate. The journey back was swift, swifter than any traveler could dream. It was as if the forest itself, recognizing the pulse of the elixir, opened hidden paths for them. The hare leapt ahead, tireless. The fox trotted at her side, eyes burning with determination. The stag walked with the dignity of a king. The owl glided low in protective circles. And the robin sang, not a melody of warning, but of hope. Ewan advanced with the vial pressed close to his chest, feeling every heartbeat like a drum in his bones. When they reached the sacred clearing, their hearts sank. The secret oak was almost unrecognizable. Its twisted, dry branches clawed at a leaden gray sky. Its roots were cracked and hollow, no longer breathing. And there beside the trunk waited a figure, an old woman, as ancient as the forest itself. She wore a cloak woven from shadows and moss. Her eyes were two empty wells. When she spoke, her voice was that of all forgotten things. "You are too late, Ewan." The druid stepped forward, his friends flanking him. "Who are you?" he asked, his hand firm on his staff. "I am the will of forgetfulness," she replied. "The peace of surrender. The peace of surrender. The voice of those who stopped fighting." The robin fell silent. The fox bared his teeth. The stag lowered his head, ready to charge. "You don't have to do this," continued the woman. "Let it die. Let it become one with the earth. The forest doesn't want to be saved. It wants to rest." Ewan hesitated. The hare stepped forward. "We didn't come to impose," she said firmly. "We came to offer." The woman regarded her, a flicker of respect in her hollow eyes. "Even after losing what you were?" she whispered. The hare lifted her chin. "Yes, because now I know true love isn't about possession. It's about respect." Ewan advanced to the base of the oak. He knelt, placing his hand upon the dry roots. "Old friend, we do not command you to live. We offer you the choice." He uncorked the vial. The elixir of life gleamed like a tiny sun trapped in crystal. With a trembling hand, Ewan poured its contents over the oak's thirsty roots. At first, nothing happened. The woman of forgetfulness smiled faintly, as if her grim expectation had been confirmed. But then, a whisper, not a voice, not of wind, of life, a heartbeat, deep, ancient, powerful. The oak trembled. The dry branches began to turn green. The roots plunged deep into the earth. Leaves, alive and shimmering like jewels, unfurled one by one, singing forgotten songs. A warm, green light enveloped the entire clearing. The woman sighed and dissolved into mist. Not with anger, not with sorrow, but with peace. Her time was over. Ewan collapsed to his knees, exhausted, tears shining in his eyes. The robin sang a new melody, bright as the first day of the world. The fox danced around the hare, laughing. The owl hooted solemnly. The stag lifted his antlers toward the sky, releasing a bellow of triumph. A golden leaf fell from the oak, landing gently at Ewan's feet. He picked it up with trembling hands, and deep in his mind he heard a soft voice. "Thank you for asking rather than commanding." Years passed. The forest did not merely heal. It flourished as never before. New magical creatures were born among the ancient trunks. The rivers sang fresh melodies. The trees, if one listened closely, told stories of old battles and new hopes. Ewan remained there, not as a guardian, not as a master, but as one more among them. Every full moon, the stag, the owl, the fox, the hare, and the robin returned to the clearing, and there, beneath the stars, they sang together the song of the eternal forest. And when lost travelers stumbled upon the hidden path and entered that sacred place, they always said the same thing. Hear the trees speak, and if you listen well, they will tell you the story of a druid and his friends who offered light to a world that had almost forgotten how to dream.
Thank you for listening. The journey has just begun. Until next time.